Brought to you by Sunbeam, the best electric appliances made. The Deluxe Sunbeam Mixmaster Food Mixer. And Sunbeam Time, new slimline beauty and new dimensions in time for every room in your home. Now, let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the delightful star of stage and television, Miss Arlene Francis.
Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce to you one of the very best young actors around town, playing in one of the very best pictures, Anatomy of a Murder, and his name is Ben Gazzara.
And on my left will be one of the most charming, witty, and intelligent young ladies I know, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And on my left, the publisher of what I think is the best dictionary in the world, and I use it very often, the American College Dictionary, Bennett, Cerf.
Ben, I hope you're not going to be as frightening on this show as you are in Anatomy of Murder. And here's our always charming, if not always accurate, panel moderator, John Charles Daly.
Let the record show that Bennett picked this fight. I didn't. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to What's My Line, and we trust to a difficult half hour for the panel, but a good deal of pleasure for all of us. We're going to have some interesting jobs, interesting lines, all here with interesting contestants. We'll also have a mystery guest before the panel a little bit later in the show, and we'll have our first contestant in just... Now let's meet our first contestant. Will you come in and sign in, please? Paul? Clatt, is that right? How do you do? Mr. Clatt, would you tell us where you're from?
Chicopee Falls, Massachusetts.
Chicopee Falls, Massachusetts. That's in the western part of the state, if memory serves me right. Fine. Mr. Clatt, will you meet the panel? Mr. Clatt. Join me over here, if you will, please, sir. Tell me, are you familiar with the way we keep score on What's My Line? All right, then let's let the folks at home and our friends who've been good enough to brave the summer torrents and the summer heat and come to the theater, let's let all of them know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, we will tell you that Mr. Clatt is salaried, and let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Mr. Clatt, is there any product connected with what you do?
No.
Not in the terms of our program. Actually, as is true of all of us, he comes in contact with Bennett. He deals in a service, Mr. Gazzara.
Oh, might I take advantage of your service?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, might I?
No.
That's 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Cerf.
That eliminates charming ladies and handsome men.
That leaves you, though, Bennett.
Cheap applause, if ever I heard it. Mr. Craddock, would you have anything to do with animals? No.
That's 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, then, could one suppose that you don't have anything to... Do you have anything to do with children? There's so little left.
Mr. Clatt said that he's married and has 3, but that's got nothing to do with his life. That's 5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Gazzara.
Well, I imagine there's something rather special about what you do. Is that correct?
Right.
Do you need some sort of special training for what you do?
Yes.
Would the fact that you're shorter than I have anything to do with what you do?
Yes.
Would it have anything to do with the federal government, perhaps?
Yes.
Yes, I think here, though, if, with your permission, Mr. Klatt, so that we don't mislead you, there is an indirect connection, perhaps.
An indirect connection.
Mm-hmm.
Would what you do have anything to do with national defense?
Yes.
There is a connection again.
Would you work in certain parts of our, let's say, armament field?
No.
No, I think that is too general. We'd have to give you a no on that. 6 down and 4 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
I think Ben has given us a big fat clue, and I hope we don't lose it. Mr. Klatt, do you, in the course of your work, get into smaller spaces than larger men would be able to get into? And is that part of your value to your job?
Yes.
Is it some sort of vehicle that you get into? Something which moves about from time to time?
Yes.
Has it anything to do, watch me pick the wrong one, with either something that goes in the water or something that flies in the air?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You pick it.
Does it go in the water?
No. 7 down and 3 to go. Mr. Cerf.
Well, then, to just pick up Dorothy's lead, it has something to do with the air, right?
Yes.
Are you concerned, and then, first of all, let me ask this. Do you work for a profit-making organization?
Yes.
You do. Have you got anything to do with airplanes before they are turned over to the government?
No.
Small conference, if I may. Good. Splendid. I think that's wonderful. That's 8 down and 2 to go, Miss Francis.
However, didn't you say before, Mr. Klatt, that you do have something to do with the federal government?
Yes, what he does, we would have to admit, has an indirect relationship to the federal government.
Uh-huh. Do you have anything to do with changes in the weather in your spaceship?
I mean, are you specifically asking, has he got something to do with meteorology now?
Yes, I am,
Fine.
John, so
That's
give me the...
9 down and 1 to go, Mr. Gazzara.
Would you deal with, let us say, space travel with instruments used for space travel?
You're speaking now of true space, the ionosphere, troposphere, way.
No, I'm speaking of rockets. Maybe.
Rockets. Oh, good. That's fine. That's 10 down and no more to go. That takes care of everything.
Yes.
Yes, you can have a guess.
Anything to do with test piloting of any kind?
Not test piloting, Bennett, but you're close.
Test
Actually,
riding.
well, it's not even test riding.
Sitting in the bomber's little
Testing
bomber
instruments.
seat? Fitting in that little bubble.
I was going to tell you, but now I won't. Now, Mr. Klatt has a wonderfully interesting job. He actually works for the Lockheed Aircraft Corporation, and he works at Westover Air Force Base, where he crawls into jet engines and inspects them after flights to see if the heat has done anything to create oil leaks, or if the turbine blades are working all right. To play around with those turbine blades,
Right.
don't you? Great fun, aren't you? And this thing, I think, will interest you all, because it might have come to your mind, and we thought you might get into that line of questioning. Mr. Klatt used to be in show business at one time.
Oh, really?
Now he's having a great deal more fun, I'm sure, participating in a very exciting...
May I ask a question, John? I read in the paper the other day about some man who was almost sucked into one of these jet engines, but was saved at the last minute. Do you know about this?
No, I haven't heard.
Is it possible he was holding on? They said with one more inch he would have been sucked into the jet plane.
Well, actually,
thank you
Bennett,
for
if you're right
reassuring our
in
guests.
front of the intake of a jet engine, you have thousands of turbine blades that create tremendous in-pull, and it'll pick you right up and drag you in. In this man's case, he went through the entrance into the intake, and two of his friends grabbed him and held on to him until they
Held
got
him
the engine. He lost just the ends of his fingers. If he'd gone in, it'd been finished, you know. It's a very exciting area of work, I must say. And thank you for a very good... Just a lot of fun. Thanks, Mr. Pratt. Nice to have you here. All right, panel, thanks. See what we can do with another challenge. Will you come in and sign in, please? Darris Miller. Is it Darris or Darris? Is it Miss or Mrs.?
Mrs.
Mrs. Miller, and where are you from, Mrs. Miller?
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City. Well, that's fine country out there, I must say. It's nice to have you come and visit us. Mrs. Miller, the panel. Panel, Mrs. Miller. Would you join me over here, please, ma'am? Do you know how we keep score, Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
All right, in that event, let's let the folks in Oklahoma City who already know it, our friends in the audience here in the theater, and all of the viewers in all the other several states, cities, and communities know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, I will tell you that Mrs. Miller is self-employed. And let's begin the general questioning with Bennett Cerf.
Mrs. Miller, I'll have to be very gentle with you because my wife comes from Oklahoma City. And Classen High or Central, which is it?
Well, there are two, Classen High and
And Central. Which one did you come from?
neither.
Well, that's not a no, John.
I'm tempted, but go on, Bennett.
Is there any product connected with what you do,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller? There is.
Yes.
Is it a product that is useful to human beings?
No.
I think Mrs. Miller is right. We will have to assume a priori that a product would have its utilization fundamentally through some human equation, but the product itself would not be considered useful to the human being. So 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Does this product come from the ground, Mrs. Miller?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Gazzara.
Would I be likely to be in need of this product at any time?
Then I would answer, if I may, Mrs. Miller. We are not sufficiently aware of all of the intricate and complex patterns of your own life. Therefore, we will have to say it is possible that you couldn't.
I see, thank you.
But we're not sure.
It's possible it would help Ben, and it is useful to human beings.
No, you can't win this
Not
one, Bennett, if you
priori.
get all of your books, including the dictionary, out. You're dead, Mr. Gazzara.
Would people stop and stare if I were to have this product with me tonight?
If
Yes.
you had it with you tonight...
Yes.
Well, this is hard to say, because actually just the fact of having it with him wouldn't make anybody
I'm sorry,
stare. It would depend on how you used it, so that we'll give you a yes and no on that.
I see. Is it solid rather than liquid?
Yes.
Could I hold it in my hand?
Yes.
Is it ever consumed?
No.
That's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Is this product useful to any living thing?
Yes.
Would you classify these living things as being in the animal kingdom?
Yes.
Are they animals that walk on the ground?
Yes.
Have they 4 legs?
Yes.
Are they domestic rather than wild animals?
Yes.
Would you find them around a farm?
Yes.
Are they ever eaten by human beings? Don't flip that till you find out what they do in Oklahoma, John.
You know, I must say, Mrs. Miller was going out of her way to be extremely fair and point out that in some very rare areas this might be so, but we would not consider this an edible domestic animal. Mr. Cerf.
These animals are 4-legged and found around farms. Are there several different breeds or varieties of this animal?
Yes.
Might it possibly be the dog family?
Yes.
You have something to do with dogs.
Yes.
Now, we have to find out what it is that you have to do with them.
Yes.
Are the dogs alive before they come to you and also alive after they leave you?
Mr. Cerf wants to know if the dogs are alive when they come to you and also alive when they leave you.
Yes.
Would you say they are any better behaved or better trained or in better shape after they leave you than before they got to you?
Yes, I believe so.
Well, now, wait a minute. Better behaved.
Better shape.
Better shape? I think we'll give him a no on that, huh? No, the word
not a
shape there
breeder or
throws
a
you
trainer.
up. No, that's 5 down and 5 to go. Miss Francis, I'm going to give you 1 more minute.
I would be correct in saying you are not a veterinarian.
No.
Do you have to have some training for the job that you do on these dogs, or with these dogs?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Gazzara.
Do you apply this product to the animals?
I could.
You could. Has it to do with a condition that's quite common with little dogs? A skin condition?
No, 7 down and 3 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, is the product that we are seeking something other than a food for the dogs? Is it something that is good for the coat of the dog?
No, not particularly. I want to throw in because I don't think, actually, it's a very special kind of thing, but you've come very close and can be gratified because Mrs. Miller makes pajamas for dogs. Custom made.
That's wrong. It's the cat's pajamas, not the dog's pajamas.
Everything changes, Dorothy, in this best of possible worlds.
Do they like tops?
They're one-piece jobs.
Oh, they're one-piece jobs.
They're one-piece jobs, yeah. Cover you with, about the only thing that sticks out is the head and the tail, and they have little plastic feet in them. They're very, very attractive, actually.
Do you have different kinds of pajamas for male dogs and female dogs? You do?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Miller, for joining us. And we'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment. But first, here is a message from our sponsor. We come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity, for which my friends on the panel are blindfolded. Are the blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, sir.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? All right, panel, as you are well aware, in the case of our mystery celebrity, we go to a different form of questioning. We'll ask one question at a time in turn, moving clockwise, and we'll begin it all with Bennett Cerf.
Are you a familiar figure in show business?
Miss Francis?
Are you in pictures?
Mr. Gazzara?
Are you in a picture that's currently appearing in New York?
Miss Kilgallen?
Are you a curvaceous young leading lady?
Mr. Cerf?
Would it be possible that you're masculine?
Miss Francis?
But not for long. Have you appeared on television?
Mr. Gazzara?
Have you appeared in the last 3 years on the legitimate stage?
Miss Kilgallen?
Aside from acting, do you sing, dance, or play a musical instrument? Professionally, I mean.
What happened?
Where are you?
He's lost her voice.
You get a yes, Miss Kilgallen. Mr. Cerf?
Would it be possible that you're under 15 years of age? You Eddie Hodges?
Eddie Hodges, indeed. He's the wonder boy of Music Man. 12 years old, tremendously talented, and carrying his success, and it's a tremendous success, I might say, with very great charm and graciousness. And he's now, he's on Broadway in a picture, Ben, because he's in
Hole in Your Head.
Hole in the Head. He's Frank Sinatra's son, remember?
Oh, yes. He's wonderful in Music Man. Just wonderful.
I'm glad you guessed him, Bennett. I think one more round and he would have lost
Bennett.
his voice forever.
Let's hear you say the first sentence of the Gettysburg Address or any other oration in your own voice so that they'll know it next time they hear it.
Well, Lincoln,
Yeah.
87 years ago, our father brought forth into this continent a new nation.
That's the boy. Nice going. That's wonderful. Well, Eddie, may I say that all of us wish you continued success, and may it always come to you happily and pleasantly and give you much happiness all your life.
Thank you, sir.
Nice to have you with us. Will you say good night to the panel for me? Well, that was rather slam-bang, panel. I got to admit you've done rather well so far tonight. And we'll have another contestant after this word from our alternate sponsor. Let's meet a final challenger. Will you come in and sign in, please? Joe Angrosini, is that right? All right, sir? Where are you from?
New York City.
You're from New York City, Mr. Angrosini, all right? Panel, Mr. Angrosini? Will you join me over here? Do you know how we keep score?
Yes.
All right, we'll let everybody in Kingdom Come outside of the panel know exactly what your line is, then, huh? All right, panel, you have about 2 minutes. We'll tell you that Mr. Angrosini is salaried and begin the general questioning with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Mr. Angrosini, could I take advantage of your services?
Yes.
Could either of the gentlemen on the panel do the same?
Yes.
Would we go to you for your services?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Angrosini, do you have to have some special training for the service that you perform?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you work for a profit-making organization?
Yes.
If one went to you, would it be to some sort of a shop of some kind?
He said we wouldn't.
He said he goes to that.
No, I think you better redraft. You would not, it has already been determined, go to him to take advantage of whatever.
We
it
do
is.
go to him.
No, you
We
would
do not.
That's right.
It's the heat.
That's right.
You go to people, then. Is that correct?
Yes.
To give of your services?
Yes.
Yes. Do you touch anything, either that you might work with or the people themselves?
No.
No. 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Gazzara.
So that your service is purely verbal.
Yes.
Are these people in need of advice of some kind?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
But you do talk either to them or in front of them.
Yes.
Do people watch you when you do what you're doing?
Not always.
But could they watch you?
Yes.
Well, isn't there somebody around? You're not talking to yourself. Are you?
Well, no, but
Or over
you
the
all are
telephone?
currently. You're not even getting anywhere near it.
Isn't he some kind of a... Do you give something to people like a
No,
subpoena or a
You
process?
needed to go for a product. That's what you need to go for because he has a most interesting product, does Mr. Angrosini. He sells Chinese fortune cookies, about 750,000 of them a year. And the wonderful thing about it, while we have a second, Mr. Angrosini works for a company that really has a nicely imaginative name. He works for Twixt Incorporated.
May I present you with one, Mr.
Oh, thank you very much. I've got my fortune in my hand, so here I go. Thank you very much, sir. It's nice to have had you with us. And what's my life. first time anybody has flatly refused to say goodnight to Bennett, but I can understand it. And until next week, this is John Daly saying goodnight, Arlene Francis.
Good night, John. It was wonderful to have you with us, Ben. Good night.
Thank you. Good night, Dorothy.
Ciao, Ben. Good night, Bennett.
Good night, John.
Good night, Bennett. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
Transportation for contestants on What's My Line is arranged by United Airlines. What's My Line is a CBS television network production in association with Mark Goodson and Bill Totten. This is Hal Sims speaking.